So today I'm going to discuss what is a binder, what is an option, what is right of first refusal, mortgage contingency, and lawyer's fund. And how does a lawyer fund protect buyers? So let's begin. So a binder for your exam, this is an upstate term. So for me, upstate is anything north of Westchester County. So you have the 5 boroughs, then north of the 5 boroughs, north of the Bronx, right? You have Westchester, Yonkers, White Plains, Scarsdale. So north of Scarsdale or White Plains, north of Westchester, that is upstate New York. So upstate New York, they pretty much do real estate like the rest of the country. Only downstate New York is where you're gonna have, the buyer's gonna have an attorney, the seller's gonna have an attorney. For the most part, I would say that the rest of the country probably will use an escrow company to make sure that both parties is performing the duties of the contract. So the term binder, just remember that is an upstate New York term. So if you're doing real estate in New York City or Westchester County, make sure you never use the term binder. Option, let's talk about what an option is. So you guys probably heard of rent to own, rent with the option to buy. And I know a lot of people are attracted to this concept because you're like, okay, great, I'm not wasting my rent and I don't have the down payment, or maybe you don't have the credit score that you wish. So you love the fact that this property is going to allow you to use your rent payments towards purchase. Now, I would say be careful. If it's a big development company that you are doing a rent to own, yes. But if it's, you and a seller, just be careful. Make sure that you have an attorney. It may sound attractive, but just keep in mind, if you choose to go ahead and get your credit together, now you are able to purchase any property that's on the market. So remember, with rent to own, it's a very, very small amount of properties that will have that option. So in my opinion, you want to go ahead, take care of your credit, have the savings so that you have access to all the properties that's on the market. And that's how you're going to get a much better deal. Because with an option, it is a express unilateral contract. So earlier we said that an express contract is either oral or written. Unilateral, we stated that a unilateral contract means that only one person has responsibility. So the reason why I want you to be careful is because with a rent to own, typically they want a down payment. Let's say the down payment is $5,000, right? Well, in New York, probably $10,000. But then on particular dates, you also will have to give a deposit. If for whatever reason you miss one of those deposit dates, you can't recourse all of your deposits back. So now the seller or owner can now just move on to the next person and give them an option with the option to buy. So just be careful, make sure that you are talking to somebody, preferably an attorney, to just look over the contract that you're getting yourself into. But I would suggest you just get your credit together. The money you're using to put as a down payment, you can just use that money to take care of your credit, okay? Get your credit together, all right? All right, so that's option. The next one is right of first refusal. Now, with a right of first refusal, you move into a particular building. Let's say you move into a studio. You're single, ready to mingle, but then you meet somebody and you're like, okay, you know what? My space is not big enough for all of our stuff. So you get in touch with the management. You say, when a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom comes available, could you please let me know? So you have the right of first refusal. Another example of right of first refusal is if you are purchasing a condo, you submit your offer, you wonder why you haven't heard nothing back. The condo association also has the right of first refusal. That means that if they choose, they can purchase the condo themselves. Right of first refusal. So just remember for the exam, it could be an individual, it could be a tenant that is looking to expand to more space, but it also could be a condo association that chooses to purchase the condo that's within their building. Now, you probably have a better chance of seeing a unicorn running down Fifth Avenue than a condo exercising their right of first refusal. Because why? Why would they get into real estate and then Sandy comes through, or Mandy, right? Even worse. And now they need all those funds that they were using in their reserves for repairs, right? So that's the reason why you pretty much wouldn't have to worry about that. But for exam purposes, now you know what right of first refusal. Mortgage contingency. When I got my license in 2007, you could have a mortgage contingency. So you would have inspection contingencies, mortgage contingencies, and basically you could submit an offer and the seller will wait for you to get approved from the bank. Today, those days are over. Your client needs to come prepared. They cannot submit an offer without either a pre-approval, not a pre-qualification, pre-approval, or if they're paying all cash, bank statements, right? And sometimes, even if they're using a loan, you're still gonna need those bank statements, in addition to your agency disclosure and your purchase contract. So just keep in mind that a mortgage contingency, they want you to know the definition of it, and the mortgage contingency is basically, I'm offering you $1 million, but it's contingent upon me getting approved from Chase. So just keep that in mind, that it doesn't exist no more. No seller is gonna wait for you to get approved. You have to already come prepared, or they're gonna move on to the next buyer. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the lawyer's fund. So the lawyer's fund, again, New York City, downstate term, because remember, upstate New York, if a buyer's agent is working with their buyer and the buyer submits earnest money deposit, right, which we talked about earlier, EMD, that deposit check, if it's upstate New York, will go to the broker. And that's typically the way it is around the rest of the country. So when I started my career in California, what we would do, we would have a copy of the check or the real check written out to either the office or to the escrow company, along with the purchase contract, bank statements, pre-approval, disclosures, agency disclosures, and all the documentation. We would take the check, we would log it into the broker's account. That broker would then take that check, either hold the check in the office and wait to see if the client is going to be approved or not. Because if their offer is not approved, they would then have to write them a check. It's better just to hold the check, and then you can just go ahead and get the check back to the buyer. Or if they deposit the check, they would deposit that check into an escrow account, a separate escrow account, which is separate from their operations account. So remember earlier, we said that if they mix the operations account with the deposit account, right, that's a form of commingling. So you're gonna have a separate account that takes care of the overhead, rents, salaries, and all that. And then I will have a separate account just for all my agents to have all their buyer deposits. And then what we would do is then write a check to the escrow company. We would write a check to the escrow company that would then come out of the broker's account. Downstate New York, you have a seller attorney that's going to hold on to those funds. So basically the buyer would then submit the check. I never have to worry about collecting the check. That check, actually I don't even see the check. It never comes to the office. They send a wire. Typically, they're going to send a wire right to the seller's attorney. And again, this is for downstate. So, because of that, there's a lawyer's fund to protect the buyers. Now, you can have lawyers, and again, it's called a lawyer's fund because us as real estate brokers, we know better not to try to run off with someone's deposit. But unfortunately, there are some unscrupulous lawyers out there. So they have a fund and they get the proceeds from their IOLA account, which has interest, also the registration fee in order to take the bar, right? And also to register to be a lawyer, they charge you a registration fee. Those funds are used to protect buyers from lawyers that for whatever reason they're not able to get their deposit back, right? Because the lawyers disappeared. Unfortunately, there's a maximum. The maximum is $300,000. So for a $3 million property here in New York, that's only 10%. I know it's not much, right? Especially when you consider that most individuals will put down 20%. So if it's a $1.5 million property, which in New York gets you a 1-bedroom, then you would only be protected again for $1.5 million if you put in a 20% deposit. So that is a lawyer's fund. So if you have any questions about that, and again, the lawyer's fund has to deal with downstate New York. Upstate New York is pretty much like the rest of the country, where you would have an escrow company. They will hold on to those funds and make sure that both parties are adhering to the contract. Any other questions, please leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next training. Thank you.
Again for coming to our channel. We look forward to continuing to help you and guide you through your real estate book. We are currently doing a New York real estate sales book, but later on we will follow with California sales book, Florida sales book, as well as New Jersey sales book. So look forward to those videos. One of the other things that we want to also discuss in the channel is investment, because most real estate professionals out there, they never get to learn about investment at their firm. So we want to talk about foreclosures, what type of properties you should buy. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video so that you'll be notified when we drop those videos. We're trying to drop at least a minimum of 3 videos per week, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thank you.